We're talking about a guy who was abusing children. Why don't you say the guy's a scumbag? Bill Gates looks horrible in this interview. Now, my job is to teach communication and why he sounds bad. So I'm not going to comment on what he may or may not have done. That is for you guys. Have at it in the comments, but let's check it right out. He's got a lot of issues.
So the only shift in strategy has been to add the pandemic and now, use our expertise to help governments fund the tools
to get
so
right
we
into
don't
the
end up with another pandemic like this one.
So mainly the same focus. I also want to ask you about something else in the public arena. It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported.
So right away I would say he sounds awful, and there's a few reasons. Number one, filler words, whatever. None of my viewers are going to be in this situation getting asked this sort of thing because you're all not involved with characters like that. But just using all those fillers, it's almost every other word. Immediately it sounds bad. If you're just giving a speech, answering a question, it makes you sound incompetent. In this case, it makes him sound perhaps dishonest and or incompetent. And we're also going to notice he's fidgeting, and he didn't answer the question at all. She asked him what he knows about Jeffrey Epstein's past when the meetings occurred, and he just talks in circles about it was a mistake and not really saying anything, and that the meetings were a mistake and that nothing new has happened. So that's pretty strange, and he doesn't take a real stance. That I'm going to get into a little bit more.
Meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful. I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation. That's what I get up every day and focus on.
This looks really bad to me. Now, I'm trying to do this fresh, just giving my reactions to it, and a huge thing is he keeps going back to this dinner thing. He's like, dinner, dinner, dinner. It's like if a kid got caught doing something they're not supposed to do and they had an excuse in their head, like, it was the dog, it was the dog, it was the dog, just saying one word over and over. And the interviewer, she's saying already that multiple meetings happened, and he just keeps saying dinner, dinner, dinner. So it's like his prepared thing is to say, I was just having dinner with him. But another huge problem is, again, he's taking no stance. We're talking about a guy who was abusing children. It's completely known, who was involved in, I don't know if you could use the word, but lots of people were involved in this situation. And he's not taking a stance on the guy. For me, that'd be so easy. Why don't you say, the guy's a scumbag? I can't believe it. I went there and I think this guy's gonna raise money and he's telling me this and that. And then it turns out he's doing that. That guy's a scumbag. I was so stupid to meet with him. Like, taking a strong position on it. And again, none of my viewers are gonna end up in this situation, but there is a lesson there because we're using this to learn about communication. A nice little technique is when everyone agrees on something, it can be really good to be the first one to take a strong stance. Like, let's say it's obvious everyone really doesn't like the new bus route and how it's so slow, or there's this new car that stinks, or there's this jerk that no one likes. Being like the blunt person, like, oh, that guy's a jerk, that can work. Normally you don't want to complain, but that can be a nice thing. It a lot of times will break tension. It gets people laughing. So for me, it makes no sense why a lot of these people who are looking awful in these interviews won't take a strong stance on, that guy's a scumbag. He's just talking in circles about, oh, nothing happened, dinner, dinner, dinner. So it looks really, really bad.
And so for people watching who wonder about the future of the Gates Foundation, what's your message?
Well, I'm extremely lucky that with the help of Melinda and the incredible generosity of Warren Buffett, we're able to take these important causes and bring innovation to bear. We were funding mRNA vaccines when, it was still...
All right, so we're going to wrap it up there. Just the main things that he does very, very wrong is immediately he's using all these filler words. So a takeaway lesson for all of us is try to minimize the use of filler words. And a very easy way to do this is make a habit of pausing. Whenever you want to use a filler word, you can pause. And this makes you look measured rather than nervous and incompetent. And then his lack of taking a position and his lack of detail, just running back to this excuse of dinner, makes it look awful. Again, my job is not to say what he did or did not do. You guys can discuss that in the comments. Those are some lessons from his interview that looks about as bad as it could have looked